recorded live in Jacksonville, Florida. This is Trivia Warfare. More than just a pub quiz, Trivia Warfare is your gateway to a worldwide trivia community. Join your hosts, Jonathan.
Take these broken wings, it's Mr.
Broken wings.
Son of a bee sting.
Chris.
I thought it was about a tree falling. I thought it was talking about a person going down. Oh, no. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Carmela.
My vodka's telling me that no, they didn't.
And the answer is yes, they were in 1854.
You lied to me!
Ben.
Jonathan was literally about to break things. He wasn't kidding. He was about to get it from his desk and destroy something valuable.
And the rest of the Trivia Warfare Army for another week of fun and games. Now here's your host, Jonathan Oakes.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Trivial Warfare. We are the podcast that takes the pub quiz out of the pub and brings it home to you. My name is Jonathan and I am here today with Carmela Smith. Hello, Carmela.
Hello, everyone.
I am here today with Zahkia Mendoza. Hello, Zahkia.
Hello.
All right, guys, we have a great group of partially cold people to introduce to everybody. It's going to be awesome. I want to introduce Kristin. Pilotte is with us today. Hello, Kristin.
Hello, Jonathan.
It's good to have you here.
Good to be back.
Kelly Nicolas is with us today. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello. And Tim Beggs is with us today. Hello, Tim.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be back.
All right. So we're going to have a great time, but before we do, I want to get to know all of you a little bit better. Kristin, let's start with you. Tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
Okay, I am Kristin Pilotte. I'm from Ashburn, Virginia, which is not far from, Nick Grove Central over in the DC-ish area.
Oh, boy.
Funny enough, I've never gone out to that area to go see him. And then I'm an aerospace engineer, and something fun about myself. I know that on this show, people have made fun of the flavored Oreos, and they're like, oh my God, don't do the flavored Oreos. I'm the person who buys the flavored Oreos and tries every flavor I can find.
Oh, what's your favorite?
They did a Baskin-Robbins Java chip thing. It was like Java chip coffee cream with the 2 cookies, and it was fabulous.
That one actually is very good.
Is it?
That's one of my favorites, for sure. But I'll try them all, whether they're good or whether they're bad, and then I'll take them to work and let, others try them.
Have you seen the College Humor Oreo CEO video?
I have not, but it sounds like I need to look it up.
I'll put it in the chat later. It's very funny, just him losing his mind over all the Oreos. That's why I wrote that question, because I had watched it and I was like, there's no way there's 100 kinds of Oreos, and there really are.
Yep.
I'll send it to you.
Have they made a peppermint Oreo?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've made multiple varieties of that, yes.
I discovered this year, discovered is a strong word because it's always been out there, but peppermint chocolate, like Trader Joe's has dark chocolate peppermint squares with a layer of white peppermint and a layer of dark chocolate. It is so good. I am 100% into any kind of chocolate peppermint combos right now.
Yeah, I don't buy those because otherwise the bag would go in one day and then I'd have a tummy ache. So they don't even enter the house at this point.
It's a party in your mouth, but it's an ache in your tummy. So unfortunately, you got to pay for one with the other.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah, right. Well, it's great to have you here, Kristin. Kelly, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
So I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, where we're in negative degrees right now. Pipes are frozen. It's a good time. I work in higher education. I work in admissions. I work at Northeastern University currently, and something fun about myself is that I pretended to like trivia 5 years ago to impress my boyfriend.
Oh my goodness. Okay, tell us this story.
Yes. Actually, particularly this podcast, and this is the reason I found this podcast.
You pretended to like this podcast to impress your boyfriend?
Yes.
Relatable. No.
I promise. Oh no. Oh god.
How did this happen?
So he's always loved trivia. He does pub trivia at the 99s every Thursday. It's just a character trait of his. And I was like, I'm going to be really cool because he likes podcasts. I'm going to find a trivia podcast. And the first one that I found that I was like, oh, they're like so much fun to be around and listen to was Trivial Warfare.
Aww.
So I put it on, and on a car ride, it was our first like car ride trip to Maine. It was a 3.5-hour drive, and we listened to you guys, and he was so impressed. He's like, you listen to this like on your own time? And I was like, yeah.
Totally.
So then we just loved you guys. We kept listening, and then I finally like told him a year later. I was like, I just wanted you to love me.
What did he say?
Tricks you used.
He was like, I mean, that was a great work. Like, I fell in love with you. So.
He's like, respect. Mad respect.
Exactly. I mean, I stuck around, so says something about you guys.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're glad that you are here. And we're also glad that Tim is here. Tim, tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and something fun about yourself.
So I'm Tim Beggs. I'm from central New Jersey, Chesterfield, so close to Trenton. I work in HR, specifically in global benefits. And kind of two interesting things. I got engaged in December, so I'm excited.
Congratulations.
About that. And shortly before that, I think I had to do this before I got engaged, I bought a Caboose. So, yeah. Those are the looks I get.
I mean,
one is because I wanted a pool house, and this was an easy way to get one, and it's a Caboose. So, and two, I had to do it before I got engaged because she thought I was crazy, and so I figured I better nail one down before the other. So,
I mean, everybody needs a trunk to store their junk in, but. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about like a big red caboose from an old style train?
You got it. It's a wooden caboose that was built in 1874 from the central New Jersey line. So it was in Pennsylvania, and it needed to come home.
And you put it next to your pool?
Huh? Exactly. So it has like a full bar, sleeping quarters.
Can I visit?
Bathroom. Yeah.
Jonathan looks fully astonished.
I am flummoxed. It sounds so cool, but it's so weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
You said it has a fully stocked bar?
It has like a mini bar, has a kitchen, has a cast iron stove. I was waiting to tell you this, so I'm so glad I got the reaction I was.
Jonathan's writing it down for when he buys his next house. Like, all right, Caboose.
I didn't even know this was an option. Like, can somebody stay there overnight? Do you rent it out as an Airbnb?
People have asked me that 1,000 times. I don't like people that much, so.
But they're not in your house. They're in your caboose.
This is true. So, I haven't gotten that far.
Oh, man, that seems like a cool idea.
Yeah.
Now I'm having business ideas.
That's right.
All right. Whew. Oh, man, I'm crying. That is so weird and awesome.
Well, he's playing Boxcar Children, the home game.
Well, I think I told you the last time I bought my house, which was I thought my biggest collectible for all of my collections.
Yeah.
So this was just now the outside version, although I've been told I can't buy a locomotive.
I was about to say, you're screwed, dude. You got a whole train to buy now.
Yeah.
My God. Okay. I'm going to think about that all day. I'm going to tell at least 10 people that story today.
Well, the next time you're in Jersey, you come there for a visit.
I do. I want to party in your caboose.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Well, there's a show title for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my
God. Here I am without
God.
any train question. Damn.
I'm writing this one down. That was good. That's a long show title, but it's going to work. All right. Well, I mean, I hate to leave this. I could literally talk about your caboose for like 30 minutes. It's really fun to say.
About my caboose for 30 minutes.
It's so fun to talk about. But I think it's time for us to warm it up. Chris.
It's time to warm it up on Trivial Warfare today. And there's only one person who can warm it up for the TWA, and that's Chris. And sometimes Jonathan.
All right. And I'm playing Chris today. So for your warm up, I have a list of the top 25 Emmy-nominated shows. This is from an article from Entertainment Weekly from August, which was just before the latest Emmys. So this is pretty current. These are all primetime Emmys, and these are not all scripted shows. So just to give you some hints there. So we're going to start with Kelly. Can you name one of the top 25 most Emmy-nominated shows?
Just not all time. It is just for this year's Emmys, right?
Oh no, it would be all time.
Oh, this
so
is
it's
all
just,
time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just current up to the latest Emmys that happened.
I understand now.
Oh, okay. All right, so not a recent one. The Office, tried and true.
The Office is not in the top 25.
Sad.
Zahkia, what do you got for me?
I got a weird one. Is Top Chef one of them?
Top Chef is not on the list, but there are some competition shows on here. Tim, you're up.
So I'm going to take your hints and I think go for Survivor.
Survivor is not in the top 25.
Whoa.
All right, so
That's
we
shocking.
are 0 for 3. Kristin, what do you got for me?
How about Saturday Night Live?
Saturday Night Live is number 1 with 306 nominations.
What? Wow.
And it's nominations, not wins.
Yes, nominations, not wins. So, Jonathan, you're up.
Gunsmoke.
Gunsmoke is not in the top 25.
Okay.
So we are back around to Kelly.
I'm going to take your hint and maybe say The Voice.
Voice is not in the top 25. Hey, Zahkia.
I think we all want to get the competition show. So my guess is The Amazing Race.
The Amazing Race is number 16 with 87.
Yeah, after we learned that it was nominations and not winners, I backed off of Amazing Race because I thought that they may just be the winners and not the whole spell there.
Tim.
Well, Zahkia, you took mine, so moving away from that, how about Frasier?
Frasier is number 9 with 107.
What a good choice.
Wow.
Kristin.
How about 30 Rock?
30 Rock is number 10 with 103 nominations. Jonathan.
60 Minutes.
60 Minutes is not on the list. I will say that there's probably no documentary, new show things on this list.
I'm upset. I thought I had a good sneaky one there. Everybody's faces made it seem like y'all thought I had a good sneaky one there, too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
All right, back around to Kelly.
I go with my parents' favorite, Seinfeld.
Seinfeld is tied for number 25 with 68.
With 60 minutes.
All right, Zahkia.
I'm going to go with the fact that Emmys are not just for acting. And I think this show had a lot of visual stuff. I'm going to go with Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones is number 2 with 160.
Wow.
So the number 1 had 306. The number 2 has 160. So that's quite the drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 35 years versus 7 years, or
also true.
or whatever.
All right, Tim.
For the theme of today, how about Jeopardy?
Jeopardy is not on the list.
Guess they didn't really like Alex Trebek.
Kristin.
Let's go for the Daily Show.
Daily Show is not on the list. Again, there's not going to be any kind of newsy kind of shows on here. Jonathan.
The Simpsons.
Simpsons, number 11 with 98 nominations.
That's a good one.
Longevity for the win.
Let's go one more time around. Longevity is not a bad way to go. Kelly.
Friends.
Friends is not in the top 25.
Fair enough. It's bad acting.
Zahkia.
If Frasier's on this list, Cheers, maybe?
Cheers is number 4 with 117 nominations.
For sure.
Good job. All right, Tim.
Well, going for longevity, how about Law and Order?
Law and Order. Law and Order is not on the list.
Wow.
I wonder if it's because they're broken up into all of its many shows.
That could
but
be.
it's not on the list.
They've been competing with each
Wolf-verse.
other for nominations.
Yeah. Kristin.
Let's try The Sopranos.
Sopranos is number 7 with 112 nominations. Right, and Jonathan, we're going to round it out with you. What do you got for me?
Oh, she just took my favorite answer right before I was going to give it.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to guess The Wire.
Wire is not in the top 25.
Oh, right. I wanted to say The Sopranos.
Sopranos has a character named Carmela in it.
All right. That's the last time around?
That was last time around, so I can go ahead and...
Was Monday Night Football on the list?
Nope.
Okay. I didn't want to guess it after guessing 60 Minutes and failing, but I was really wondering.
You guys got the number 1, the number 2. Number 3 is ER with 124.
Oh, of course, ER.
Of course.
You got number 4. Number 5 is Dancing with the Stars, which is tied with Mad Men. They're in the number 5 spot with 116. You got number 7. Number 8 is MASH with 109. You got 9, 10, and 11. Number 12 was Hill Street Blues with 97. Number 13, it's a tie between West Wing and Will and Grace. 96 nominations. Number 15 is LA Law with 89.
Oh, I thought about LA Law at the end there and didn't go with it.
You got number 16. Number 17 is Modern Family with 85. 18, NYPD Blue with 84. Number 19 is the show 24 with 76. 20 is Handmaid's Tale with 75. Number 21
Already?
Yep.
Wow.
75 nominations.
Oh my God, how many seasons has that been?
They've had a few, but you also have to think they probably have costuming and all that stuff. All that stuff counts.
Whoa.
Number 21 is another competition show. Is So You Think You Can Dance?
I love that show.
Nominations. 22 is Downton Abbey with 70. It's tied with the Carol Burnett Show. Number 24 is Everybody Loves Raymond with 69. And Seinfeld was tied with Veep for 68 nominations, which is funny because they both have Julia Louis in it.
I have Veep written down, but didn't go with it because I thought it hadn't run long enough to be that high.
It just squeaked into the 25.
Squeaky.
Oh. But that is your warm-up, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Carmela. That was awesome. So today's going to be episode number 414. That means we are on the main feed. So hello to everybody who is listening. Excited to have you here. Don't forget, if you want to get more Trivial Warfare, you can go to TrivialWarfareArmy.com and sign up as a sergeant or higher. That's $5 a month. And as a reminder, if you're at the $10 a month or higher level, you do go into the process for getting a chance to come on the show. It does take a while to come on the show. I don't want to mislead anybody. We have a whole process for who gets selected and how. But everybody that you hear on the show is somebody who is contributing and has been a big part of what we're doing. So you can do that at TrivialWarfareArmy.com. And... yeah, it's a light announcement week, I think. You can play along with today's show on the Triviamatic app. Go to your Play Store or App Store, download Triviamatic, Play Now button, and use this code 234563. That's 234563 to play along with today's show. And I got to tell you, Nick and I used the Triviamatic app. We were at PodFest and had a game with 120 players on Friday night last week. It was a huge room. I just posted pictures of it. The background was so cool. It was the show's wide version of our logo, and it was a whole screen. It was like a 9-foot-tall screen behind me, and the logo took up the whole screen. It was awesome. But I bring it up because using Triviamatic, we had all the teams playing at their tables using their phones to do their answers, and literally we were able to score the rounds in like 30 seconds. It's no joke. It's just like you're looking at your computer screen. You're like, okay, accept that answer. And anybody whose answer is just like that also gets accepted. I'm not going to accept that answer. I'm going to accept that one. It was really freaking, it made it really easy to do the event. So props to that. That's a really useful tool for trivia hosts. And today's game. Today's game is going to be Jonathan, Kelly, and Kristin, JKK, versus Tim and Zahkia. Carmela is hosting, and it's time to play the game.
Players. Oh, yeah. Y'all know what time it is. This is Mr. Literature himself,
cordially inviting you to the game. This is 6 rounds of trivia goodness. 3 questions per round. Every right answer gets you 10 points. In the middle, we'll take a pause for the cause and ask a midpoint question worth up to 20 juicy points. After round 6, you can wager any or all those points you've been building up and take a shot at the final round. It's a series of theme-based questions we call the Gauntlet. It's just that easy, baby. But this game ain't gonna play itself, players. Let's get it on.
Let's do it. Your first category in round 1 is what's in a name? When picturing a chef, you may think of the classic tall white pleated hat atop their head. What is the name for that kind of hat? No accounting if the Canadian chefs sew a pom-pom on top.
I think Zahkia is frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, she's frozen with a happy face, though. It's very appropriate.
Perfect look.
And Tim, do you want to lock in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Kelly, you're almost wearing one of these right now. I mean, if we just put a little pom-pom beanie thing on the top, it would be a toque. If your father was a toque, you might be a hobbit, and Gandalf could be insulting you. You son of a toque. I think I'm stretching really bad. I didn't know the chef's hat was called a toque or a toque, but that's the word for that Canadian hat. So, are you guys comfortable going with it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I've heard it called toque, but either way, that's what I've heard it as. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you said it, I was like, that sounds right.
All right, we're gonna lock that in.
We also said a toque.
Yeah, we said toque.
All right. Both teams said toque or toque, and the hat is called a toque blanche, but I accept toque, and so both teams got it correct. Good job.
Nice.
Nice job, Kristin.
I was thinking about what is that hat called? Because that hat's got a name. Your next question category is origin story. Comic Sans was developed by Vincent Conner in 1994 for Microsoft. He was inspired by the lettering of comic books, specifically 2 comics from 1986 that ushered in the dark age of comics. Name one of these titles. For 2 bonus points, name both.
From 1986?
Mm-hmm.
And you said the era of...
The dark age of comics. Let me make sure I wrote that correctly. Yes, dark age of comics.
How specific, Carmela? Are we talking about just like a character name for a book, or is it like a limited series? We got to be specific with the name.
They were both limited series, so you would need to be specific about the name of that.
Thank you.
Just watching the expressions on the other team is really hilarious.
I know exactly which one I want to answer, and I cannot think of the name, and it's really going to make me frustrated.
Unfortunately, Jonathan, I think we're relying on you. I mean,
that is also unfortunate for me.
Kristin and I are avidly waiting, watching
the dot. No pressure or anything.
We are going to want to come around to an answer here pretty soon, though.
That sounds dark, Jonathan.
Carmela, we just need one or both?
You just need one for full credit. Both would give you bonus points.
Okay.
All right. I think I think we can lock. I think the last one that I said is the best of the one. But we'll use the first one there as the bonus. So we'll go ahead and lock in.
I think the theme that we're rounding is what is the dark age of comics? Because when you first said 1986, I'm like, in Comic Sans, I'm thinking Dilbert or Kathy, and then I told Tim, is this like Kathy with a knife act?
And I just asked Odie kill Garfield. But.
Right. And then he's like, well, what's the one that is like X-Men, but that's not X-Men with men?
Something men. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah.
So Zahkia came back with Watchmen. But she said, maybe that's more of a graphic novel, which I agree with, but I can't think of anything better. I mean, I have no idea. But I think the timing is close. I think that's the vintage of Watchmen.
It works. And I'm also thinking of the cover of Watchmen, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe it looks different on the inside. It fits the darkness. So I'm good with going with Watchmen.
Okay, because I think like the POW and the Zap from the old Batman series is probably not it. So
the POW and the Zap would be a great album name, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to lock in with Watchmen?
Yeah, let's lock in with
All
Watchmen.
Right, that's what we're going to do. We're locked.
Did you have a bonus?
Oh, we barely got to Watchmen.
No.
You're going to go with Dilbert for your bonus?
Kathy.
Kathy with a knife for the bonus. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the library.
So I'm really frustrated because I feel like one of these is going to be the Batman story where it's like the future and Batman is old and tired, and it's the one with all the, like, in the streets, all the punks are all over the place, and I cannot remember the name of that story to save my life. I was really happy that I remembered The Watchmen, because we also made that our main answer. Very, very dark. Big enough as a deal to usher in a dark age. Our bonus answer, we went with Batman the Killing Joke, because I could definitely remember that, but I think it's 3 years later. But we said The Watchmen and the Killing Joke.
Okay, so one of the comics is Watchmen, which was lettered by, let's see, what was this guy's name? Sorry, Dave Gibbons. And the other one, The Killing Joke, was also written by Alan Moore, who wrote Watchmen. But there was a Batman, but it was written by Frank Miller.
That's the one I'm trying to think of.
This is The Dark Knight Returns.
In my head, I had The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm like, that's the movie, and I know it's not right. That is exactly the one that I was trying to name. It was the Frank Miller one, but I could not come up with the name. Dadgummit.
Dark Knight Returns was lettered by John Costanza, so it was based on their lettering that Vincent Conner went and created Comic Sans. So,
which is funny because honestly, when you said where's Comic Sans come from, I was thinking, did he get it from like Calvin and Hobbes? Because that's what it looks like to me.
And a lot of comic lettering kind of falls into that same vein of the way that looks. Comic Sans gets a bad rap. However, if you are doing any writing and you need to go and edit it, switch the font over to Comic Sans while you're editing, because it looks different and it kind of tricks your brain to looking at it more carefully. So it's a good tool for that. And it's also good for dyslexic people. So
hey, okay, that's cool.
Comic Sans does have its benefits.
Not good for business memos.
Not good for business. Use it in appropriate places, but it does have its uses.
Carmela, the biggest defender of Comic Sans I've ever met.
She stands by it.
Sometimes I have to write stuff down, and I will change the font to Comic Sans, and it does make editing easier.
It's no Avatar Papyrus, but
Papyrus is kind of terrible as a font.
Because I've noticed that, is there a special Avatar Papyrus?
There isn't. So it's a whole joke on SNL that Ryan Gosling does. My boyfriend and I love the skit, and it's basically Ryan Gosling being like, you just went and used papyrus like you didn't even think about it.
It
and
feels like it.
Entire graphic design, like this graphic designer just went, yeah, I'm gonna look through all these fonts and just chose papyrus.
Whichever ones came with my Office subscription.
Exactly.
But both teams do get the 10 points, just nobody gets the bonus, which is fine because I don't know how to do bonus scoring on the score sheet. So I didn't realize that when I wrote the question. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going to happen if one of these teams gets a bonus. So. Okay, your last category in the round is brought to you by Jacob Johnson. So thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Jacob.
Category is shared billing. Pledging to give the two stars the same amount of screen time, Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse appeared on the big screen together for the first and only time during what revolutionary 1988 film?
I've got Toot Toots for this. Shout out to Luke Leavenworth.
To a whistle.
Shout out to Luke Leavenworth for sending the train whistle. Yes, you've already said it. Perfect. We can lock in.
All right.
Well, Tim, I wish I had beep beeps to go with their toot toots, but I have an idea. Could this be Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
That's exactly where I was going as well. So,
okay.
Yeah, I think we lock in with that. I don't think either of them had much time on screen, but I think that would be what would make sense for them both to be in. So we'll stick with Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember them distinctly on the screen together after the big vat of dip gets blown away by the train rushing through Toonland. All the animated characters start coming out from behind the wall at the end of the movie, and they're looking at the corpse of Judge Dredd, who has just been dipped and smashed, and Mickey Mouse like, oh, well, he doesn't look like a mouse. And then Bugs Bunny, he's not a rabbit. And like everybody's just trying to figure out what he is or what he was. And so, yeah, they both had a line and they were both on the screen together for sure. So we said Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes, it is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That was a fabulous Mickey Mouse, I've got to say.
You know what?
Yeah,
As it was coming out, I was thinking, that's my best Mickey Mouse ever. It's usually not good.
You probably got a lot of practice because your son was enamored with Mickey Mouse.
You're not wrong about that.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit is like one of those movies from my childhood that's always kind of stuck with me. So I was like, yeah, we're going to do a Who Framed Roger Rabbit question.
It is a wonderful movie. It is really good.
It's a very cool movie. One time I was in the car with my ex-husband. He was on the phone with my cousin Amanda, who you've met Amanda, Jonathan. We were trying to get into, actually the apartment complex I live in now had a gate. At the time, someone else was living here. We were both going to go see them. And I was trying to get through the gate, and I was saying that out loud to where my cousin could hear it. And we both had said, I'm going to ram him in the style of the Weasels.
Yeah. I'm going to ram him.
I'm going to ram him. And so, but Amanda didn't know that I was also saying that. So he heard it in stereo between me and my cousin. And he just like looked at me like I was insane. He's like, the two of you are the same person.
Wow.
Which is not wrong. Okay, at the end of the first round, we are all tied up. It is 30-30.
Nice.
Great job, everyone. Your first category in round 2 is Owl, My Wallet.
Did you say owl or owl?
Owl, like ouch.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't leave a clue on the table here.
I heard owl too.
Okay, that's sorry. Damn this accent of mine.
Owl, that hurts.
You can enter what California establishment for $1 on its opening day in 1955, but it would cost you somewhere between $104 and $179 today.
What was the year?
1955.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're locked in. All right.
Locked in.
Zahkia and I are locked in.
If that last bit is true, I want you to tell that story. So we all think it's Disneyland, and Kelly, you just said you think there was a riot or something.
Yeah, so my parents are obsessed with Disney, so we always hear Disney lore. But I guess because it was $1, they oversold, and to the point where people were climbing fences and mass trying to get
that's
in.
right. Yeah, no, okay, I got you. It's not like a fight, but it was people invading.
Yeah, not a riot, but people were everyone was we need to be in this park, basically.
Yeah. So we went Disneyland.
My connection to this question of one being from California, but two knowing 1955 was the year that Disneyland opened because my mom was 8 and went there about 3 weeks after it opened. So she was summering in LA that year, and my grandparents took she and her 2 sisters to Disneyland for $1, which was about all my grandfather would be willing to pay. So, so we locked in with Disneyland as well.
I went and checked it out, the inflation calendar or a calculator at the time that I wrote this question. It would have been about $11 in today's currency. But when I went to the website for Disneyland, somewhere between $104 and $179 over the next month is what it would cost for a one-day pass. So it is indeed Disneyland.
Is Disney World the same price as Disneyland, or
No.
I didn't check Disney World, but it's probably pretty comparable. Or maybe a bit more because it's Florida and we do sales tax versus state tax. So
I went to Disneyland for the first time in my life last Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
And I've been to Disney World a lot. And there were two things that made it different, that made it other than it being a smaller park. But Disneyland still has the Indiana Jones ride. That thing was like 30 years old, and it is ahead of its time back then. It is still great now. It was one of the funnest things there. But the coolest thing was the Nightmare Before Christmas invasion of the haunted house. That is so much fun. It was great. So yeah, those were the two standouts for me.
Did you all, I know you went to school in Georgia, Jonathan, but that's close enough to Florida. Did you all do grad night or anything at Disney when you were in high school?
I moved to Florida as a freshman in high school, so I don't know what they did, but I think that in Georgia, anything like that, we would go to Six Flags over Georgia.
That makes sense. Because we did grad night when I was in high school, which is at Disney. So basically you're at Disney from like 9 o'clock at night all the way up until sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Fall Out Boy when I was there. So all right. I was like, this is cool. I can go to a Fall Out Boy concert. Next category in the round is brought to you by Joel Skelly. So thank you, Joel. Your category is words, words, words. What compound word, meaning one who flouts or ignores the law, was coined during the Prohibition era to describe lawless drinkers?
Compound word, somebody who flouts or what's the law?
Or ignores the law.
Kristin, I like that.
I don't.
You don't?
No. I feel like...
I like it. It's better than what I got.
I think it might be right.
I just don't know why that would have anything to do with like prohibition. I mean, I understand how it has to do with prohibition, but I don't understand how it has to do with prohibition. So
it's definitely compound.
It is.
Carmela, will you read the second half of that? The second half about regarding prohibition.
Sure. It was coined during the Prohibition era to describe lawless drinkers.
We're locked in.
Tim, do you want to talk about why it's not Flibberty Gibbet?
Did you say Flibberty Gibberty?
Flibberty Gibbet. I don't know. Like we agree, it's not bootlegger, and someone who casually whippersnapper. Like, I'm just trying to think of things that sound like sorry.
Right. Well, scofflaw was one that I came up with, but I don't know what that would why that would have been coined during Prohibition. Flouts or ignores the law.
There's a particular like 1920s vernacular that I'm like is not it, but still is
and I don't think Trumper was then so.
Yeah, I'm a Flibberty Gibbet, see? Yeah.
That.
Not helpful.
We are going to want to come to something soon, though.
Yeah.
Out of all the things that have been said, scofflaw sounds like the best to me.
Yeah. I'm willing to fall on that sword.
Okay, let's go with scofflaw.
All right. Jonathan, Kelly, and Kristin.
All right, Kristin, you let us hear.
Well, I also first word that came to mind was scofflaw, and I hated it for the exact same reason Tim did. It had nothing to do with alcohol and nothing to do with prohibition. So I was like, I really don't like it, but we couldn't come up with anything better, so we locked it with scofflaw.
We didn't want to come up with anything better. It's so literally the definition of what she said. Somebody who ignores the law is somebody who scoffs at it. It is a perfect answer for this.
Scoffs law.
Yeah, they scoff at the law. They flaunt the fact that they're breaking the law. I think it has to be right.
Well, I guess we'll find out in a second.
So apparently there was a nationwide competition to create a new word for the lawless drinker. A banker and an enthusiastic supporter of prohibition named Delsavar King submitted the word scofflaw and won $200 in gold out of it. So the answer is scofflaw.
Promptly went to Disneyland 200 days in a row.
Wasn't expecting that.
I like how both of you were like, no, not
I
right.
know. As soon as I heard you say, I'm like, yeah, that's right. There's no way that's not right.
Well, and it's how I've always divided the word in my head: a flaw, as opposed to scofflaw.
Gotcha.
So I was trying to how does it have to do with bad '90s bands?
I like ska
Dun, dun,
bands.
dun, dun, dun.
That's great. Your last category in the round is, speaking of prohibition, what U.S. president was reportedly so dismayed at the drunken behavior seen in society gatherings around Washington, D.C., that he leaned into his wife Lucy's temperance beliefs and banned alcohol from the White House a few decades ahead of the Prohibition era?
Oh, I knew this once.
I've got you.
Oh, okay.
Trying to remember. Tim, are you the one who's got all the
yep.
presidential stuff?
Yeah.
Like yeah.
We're locked in.
Yep.
Okay, we're locked in.
Okay, good. Then I don't have to type as much. So we have Lucy. We know Prohibition was 1918 to 1921. So a few decades ahead needs to be probably the latest it could be would be the 1890s, but probably more like the 1880s or even 1870s. Your presidents during that time to choose from, and if you can match Lucy with one of these last names, that'd be awesome. So Johnson was late 60s, then you had Grant into the 70s, then you had Rutherford B. Hayes. Lucy Hayes sounds very familiar now that I say that. Then you have James Garfield. Lucy Garfield doesn't sound familiar. Chester A. Arthur. Then you had Grover Cleveland, Lucy Cleveland. No, Benjamin Harrison. Grover Cleveland, William McKinley. I think it might be Rutherford.
I like Lucy Hayes. Sounds like a good name. That sounds like a strong name.
Mm-hmm. Kristin,
When
do you have any knowledge?
It tickled. No, I've got nothing. But I also Lucy Hayes tickled something, so I'm willing to lock in with Rutherford B. Hayes, having absolutely nothing else to go on.
Okay, we're gonna guess good old RBH.
Okay.
Well, good old RBH. Very nice. I think she's also tickling your head, tickling your brain, because her nickname was Lemonade Lucy Hayes because she was a teetotaler and wouldn't serve alcohol in the White House. So yeah, we locked in with Rutherford Hayes.
Heck yeah!
Well done, John.
My flavor text is that she was known as Lemonade Lucy. It is Rutherford B. Hayes.
I feel like that's
Good job,
payback for
everyone.
scofflaw.
The only scofflaws is a lack of willingness to pick it up.
Pick it up. So, at the end of the second round, we are still tied. It is 60-60. You guys are doing great.
It's a good game. These are good questions, by the way.
Good questions.
Thank you.
Good job.
Appreciate that. Your first category in round 3 is boots and cats.
Boots and cats, boots and cats, boots and cats, boots and cats.
Part of the Get Fresh crew, which also included Slick Rick, who was a hip-hop artist born in 1966, known as the Human Beatbox.
Is there a question mark in? I'm not sure exactly what's being asked.
So, part of the Get Fresh crew, which also included Slick Rick, who is the hip-hop artist born in 1966, known as the Human Beatbox.
Okay.
That's right.
You are correct. That is a name. That is a name.
Yeah. Okay. That makes me feel a lot better about it. Yeah, I forgot that. So, want to lock that in?
Yeah, it's as good as I'm going to be. As
Okay.
much help as I'm going to be.
All right. We are locked in.
So
My gosh.
Yeah, this isn't my genre of hip hop. I wasn't into hip hop in the 80s, and I never really got into it later. So I'm just trying to name hip hoppers from that era, right? And like, there's it's just random names. They may not even be associated with beatboxing. I got a name floating around. Melly Mel is a person's name, I think. I think there's a Jam Master Jay. I think there's, I feel like there's a Rakim somebody, but I know I might just be messing that up and getting that mixed up with Radio Rakim from, I think, Do the Right Thing or something like that. And so I don't want to get those jumbled up, but I feel like there is a Rakim somebody.
Oh, what's the group name again?
Get Fresh crew.
Slick Rick is still somebody, like, I think Slick Rick is still doing music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I could be way wrong, but I feel like that's true.
You know, I think at this point there's like 3 names to pull, and I've got absolutely no help on any of this. I also was not listening to hip hop in the 80s, and I have not gone back and learned history. So,
back when I was a wee thought in my parents' head, I also was not listening.
Well, rather than waste time, do y'all want to just go with Melly Mel and hope for the best?
Sure.
Sure thing.
All right, we're going to guess Mel.
All right. Zahkia and Tim.
Oddly enough, Jonathan, I said something very similar to Tim. Like, this is not my hip hop era.
Right?
And I said, I know it's not Slick Rick. So,
yes, yeah, I'm with you there.
Fair.
Yeah.
That is very true. But I do know a little bit about this era. Jonathan, the Rakim is there is a Radio Raheem in Do the Right Thing, but there is also Rakim of Eric B. and Rakim. And I think that's what you're thinking of. Yeah. And I thought of both of those, but like I think of them as a duo by themselves. And I initially thought like Flavor Flav, but he's more of a hype man. I don't think he's actually like beatboxed.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to why did Carmela say born in 66? Is that a hint? Tim pointed out that this person would be around 56 now. And I'm like, who's around that age? Dougie Fresh. And I met Dougie Fresh once upon a time at the Apollo in Harlem. That's kind of cool.
Was he fresh that night, or was he just Dougie?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't teach me how to.
Oh, how dare he?
I mean, that wasn't even a thing yet. But Tim mentioned Get Fresh crew goes with Dougie Fresh. So I was like, yeah, let's go with it. So we locked in with Dougie Fresh.
So the Get Fresh crew, one of their songs, La Di Da Di, is one of the most sampled songs in hip hop ever. It was comprised of Slick Rick, DJs Chill Will and Barry B, and the human beatbox, Dougie Fresh.
No! I would have never thought Dougie Fresh was the human beatbox. So just so that I don't sound like a complete fool, there is an American rapper named Melly Mel. So
yes. Oh. Yes.
He was the lead vocalist of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And Jam Master Jay was from
Run DMC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So all same era. Same era of hip hop. Okay, your next category is brought to us by Rob Warman. So thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Rob Warman.
Your category is sliding into the top spot. What fast food chain was the first to sell 1 billion burgers in 1961? So they hit 1 billion in 1961.
I feel like I've heard this before. This is part of the problem. And so I'm erring towards my answer, but I don't actually know if that's real or if I've just got this fake memory.
I like your answer. I think if we miss it, we miss it, but I think that's good.
I would rather go with that than the other answer.
You want to lock in?
Sure. Yeah,
right,
that sounds
great.
fine.
Okay, Tim, I just saw your last message, and I'm almost positive now.
Yeah.
So, things we agree on. McDonald's is a trap.
It's a trap.
That's a
It's a trap!
It's always a trap.
2, White Castle has been around since like 1890s or something like that.
Right.
Like they started in like Kansas or somewhere. They've been around forever.
They literally started in a castle.
And then like the burgers you buy are like little, like you don't just buy one, you buy them by the bag or the crate. Like there's always a bunch of them. And then I saw your message about sliding to the top.
Right, because they are, after all, sliders. So thank you for the hint there, Carmela, we think. So yeah, we're locking in with White Castle.
What a terrible answer. Like, that doesn't sound like that's even possible. No way. Kristin, what did we say?
We also said White Castle because we were sliding into like being a slider. And also I got really into the food that made America or the food that built America. Whatever that show is on History Channel, and they did an entire thing on White Castle, and I seem to think that's what I heard there, but that's it. It's a really fascinating series. Never thought the History Channel would have anything I'd actually enjoy on it, but there we are. So we also said White Castle.
Okay. All right. So both teams said White Castle. The answer is, so this is a restaurant that had been around since the 1920s. They do have little hamburgers known as sliders, and it is indeed White Castle.
Nice.
Good job.
Way to go, Kristin.
That was a
McDonald's.
well done clue.
It was. It really was.
McDonald's did hit the same milestone. McDonald's had only been around for about 10 or so years, but they did it in 1963. So they did it much faster, but
Wow.
White Castle did it first.
Very cool.
Your last category in the round is drift away. What mammal is known for resting in rafts, which are groups typically of 10 to 100 of the animal?
All aboard! I feel very good about this answer. Kelly, you're on the same page too, it looks like. Kristin, are you okay with this answer?
Yep, and I like it.
Beautiful. All right, we're locked in.
All right, Tim. Like, maybe it's because I think this is cute, but I have this image of like a bunch of otters on their backs, like holding hands and like a little fur raft, like floating down the ocean.
Right.
Down the ocean.
Down the ocean, yeah.
or the river where...
Just having their little furry bodies battered against the shore.
And those would be river otters. So if we're going to stick with otters, we just say otters and ask to be if we need to be more specific. But I said, yeah, I didn't know otters, sea lions, sea elephants, and then I said beavers. So those are the ones that but otters was where I started too. So and then just attached words to sea apparently. But I don't think it's elephants, sea lions, probably not. So I'm down to like otters or beavers. And I think you're right. I think there's a reason they have those little pictures of them holding hands. And you don't see beavers like that. So
yeah, and I know otters are like mean. I've heard that they're mean.
Is that true?
So, so like if they're mean and holding hands, it's gotta be for a reason,
right? I wouldn't want to run into 100 otters linked together, though. That's frightening. But I think that, and then a raft of otters. Sure, that sounds like that sounds right.
Yeah, let's go with otters.
All right,
we'll go with
a raft of otters.
Okay.
Have you ever thought that an otter is like a sea raccoon? The way they like lay on their back and they use their little, like I've seen video of an otter like tearing apart a fish to eat little bits of it. So he's using his little hands and manipulating things the same way, like shining things up on his coat. And I've seen just like raccoons do, except laying on their back floating while they do it. But I've seen
part of the weasel family.
Oh, are they? Weasels?
I think they're part of the weasel. I think they're part of the weasel family, which would also fit with the way that they act with, tearing things up and whatnot.
That's true. Either way, I've seen a raft of otters before over in California around, I don't remember exactly where, Monterey Bay. Monterey, maybe down south, Morro Rock, somewhere in there. Morro Rock is where it was. And they're gorgeous and they're funny, and it's definitely a raft of otters.
Okay. Sea otters in particular can be mean, but the holding the hands thing is just so cute. So I am looking specifically for sea otters, but I did write in here except otters because I think river otters also do it. So yeah, otters, they will hold hands. Apparently at one point there was a documented raft of about 2,000 male otters in the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
Which at the same time I'm like, aw, but I'm also like, that's scary. just 2,000 of any animal is scary to me. But to answer the question about are they related to weasels?
Weasels.
They are part of the subfamily Lutrinae, which is part of the Mustelidae family, which does include things like weasels, badgers, minks, and wolverines.
Oh, cool.
So they are tangentially related. They're part of the same overarching family.
I think I learned that from Harry Potter because Hermione's Patronus, if I remember correctly, is a otter, and it's because she loves Ron Weasley. Weasley. It's a weasel, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, so we are at the end of the third round. We got a little bit of separation. Zahkia and Tim are in the lead. It is 90 to 80.
All right, midpoint.
Midpoint time. Your category is science.
Science.
Unfortunately, Ben isn't here for me to see if those damn halogens are going to get him again. But let's see if they get you. Halogens react with metal, can produce a vast range of salts, and are next door neighbors to the noble gases. For 4 points each, name 5 of the 6 halogens on the periodic table.
They probably are going to get me. Because I keep thinking noble gases. You want 5 of 6?
5 of 6.
I think we have 4 right now. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, wow. A lot of messages are all coming through at once. Kristin, we didn't get... Kristin, you hadn't been getting our messages, and now I just got like 10 messages in a row from you. Like, okay. Okay, so no to...
I think we have 5 with that one.
Well, no, because we took one off, I think.
Did we?
I mean, just because I'm not familiar with it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just it does not sound familiar at all.
I'm not sure that it's an element.
If it's near the bottom.
I think it's near the bottom, but I could be totally wrong.
With that, we have 5 if we keep that in there. But I really want to know.
Let's think of other ones.
So here's something that I feel like I know.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I'm stuck on 4. All I need is another one.
And I am no help whatsoever here.
I don't know what that means, Kristin, but it's...
I don't either. You're talking science to us. You need to talk English to us.
Talking pre-med.
We are going to want to come to something here soon.
I'm not pre-med. I'm pre-bed.
Hey.
I'm always pre-bed.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I'm like the Hulk. My secret is that I'm always tired. Right? So how do you fall asleep so fast? That's my secret. And we're coming up on time here, so I think we lock those 5 in.
Okay.
All right, we're going to lock in.
So the ones I am able to come up with in my head: bromine, chlorine, fluorine, iodine, and...
We're with you. We're with you.
I'm like, tourmaline? No. Herscheline? That's my grandma.
Your grandma's name is Herscheline?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Herscheline.
She is from a very remote, not very
part of Pennsylvania.
But she's from the Rome, Georgia.
Oh.
And she's also a twin, and her twin is Emma Jean, which also sounds like it could be a halogen. But bromine, chlorine, fluorine, iodine,
and Frankenbean.
Medebean, linoline, which I think is like an animal fat. Come on, girl.
And as Zahkia always points out, she's got a lot more pressure on her for knowing these with mom.
Yeah,
so.
My mom's a chemist, so she beat these into my head once upon a time. Not literally, but had periodic table hanging over my head. So
over your crib.
Over the crib. No, bromine, chlorine, fluorine, iodine. Tourmaline sounds like at least something scientific. I think that's something auto related, but
you put it in your tank.
Yep.
With gas. But I think that's where we land.
Yep. So those are the ones we're gonna lock in: bromine, chlorine, fluorine, iodine, and tourmaline.
Our answers were very similar. We said bromine. We all said bromine first, and then fluorine and chlorine came, and then iodine came, and then the last one, I don't remember if it was Kelly or Kristin who threw this out here, was astatine. And we don't know if that is one or not. But yeah, Kelly, it was you. We selected. We were wondering if boron might. I feel like there's 2 of the B's that are, but I can't remember. Couldn't remember what the other B was, and so astatine felt better. So we went with astatine as the 5th.
So when you guys said you didn't know what I meant, I think boron is 1 positive ion, so it's got +1 in its outer shell, which is how you define what the columns are. So everything in the halogens is missing one electron. So I think boron has one extra electron, or like one valence electron. So I think boron's in the first column.
I understand what those words are, but I don't comprehend how those relate.
There's the Royal Society of Chemistry for like the UK, or maybe it's Australia, that has a Royal Society of Chemistry, and they have a periodic table app, which is just, I spent a lot of time looking at it. So I'm very disappointed I couldn't come up with a
Weirdly enough, I understood you, Kristin. I knew exactly what you meant. Boron's on the other side. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, your halogens are in periodic table order: fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine.
Yeah.
And tennessine.
Tennessine.
So, Jonathan, Kelly, and Kristin, you got all of them, and Zahkia and Tim, you got 4. So, after the midpoint, Zahkia and Tim are still in the lead, 106 to 100.
Good game.
Your first category in round 4 is irony is a literary tool. What best-selling author was hit by a vehicle in the late 1990s and then later purchased that vehicle that struck them?
In what year?
In the late 1990s.
That's vaguely familiar.
Yeah, same.
So I don't want to overthink this.
Yeah.
So we lock in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to lock in.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are talking about Stephen King and saying, oh, you're saying he got in a bad accident?
I think I heard that, Kristin.
Really?
I do know that he was definitely in a bad incident of some sort. Like he either got into a really bad car wreck or something like something that travels up in Maine hit him, and it was a big thing. Like he had some TBI type stuff, and he's talked about it in some.
Then I think that's
the time frame. Sorry, that's the only guess.
I really like that answer.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
All right, we'll say Stephen King.
And Tim?
Well, crap. We also said Stephen King. That was I think we both had an inkling of him being in a big accident, and we said it sounded like him to buy the car. And what is his book?
Kristin.
It is Kristin. All I could get was Cujo, and I knew that was the dog.
My car, Cujo, and my dog, Christine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he bought Christine, apparently. So
yeah. So if it's a red Plymouth, is it on some? It's a red Plymouth. I don't remember the model, but yeah. If that's it, cool. But yeah, we said Stephen King.
Okay. Well, while walking down the road in Maine, he was struck by a minivan. It was Stephen King. And apparently the guy who had hit him had just an atrocious driving record, had been involved in several accidents, and just very terrible. And Stephen King got really hurt. It messed him up for a long time. And so he bought the van to try and keep it out of like overzealous fans trying to obtain it as a souvenir and then try and make money on it. And the van has since been destroyed. So, but yeah, Stephen King bought the vehicle that hit him. So, wow. In the kind of an ironic fashion. But yeah, we're looking for Stephen King here.
Yay.
Your next category is Satanic Panic.
Stephen King.
The theme continues.
I like through lines. What can I say? Patricia Pulling of Richmond, Virginia, formed the advocacy group BADD in 1983 in the aftermath of her son's unfortunate death and the dismissal of lawsuits against game publisher TSR to speak out against what game that she blamed for her son's death.
Do you want us to be specific to a certain... Because I know what TSR did, or I know what TSR is, and I know what multiple games they've done. Do you want us to give you like the high-level thing, or are you looking for the title of a purchasable game?
I'm looking for a specific game.
I don't know if that answers what I'm trying to get to, though.
I don't know how much more I can give you without giving too much.
I know.
And the advocacy group was BADD.
Oh, I agree, Zahkia. We're locked in.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure who said it first, but Kristin, I think it was you. Yeah. It's definitely Dungeons and Dragons, and BADD is somebody against Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I guess that's because of the acronym. That's probably the answer she wants. The reason that I was hesitant with an answer is that TSR did a lot of different computer games based on the Dungeons and Dragons license. They called them gold box games, like Pool of Radiance and Curse of Azure Bonds, and multiple different games that I used to play growing up. They used to log in, you used to have the stupid little wheel with multiple spinny parts to match up the made-up characters with certain keywords in order to log in. It was very frustrating.
Oh, my.
But I think that the answer that she's looking for must be Dungeons and Dragons.
Agreed.
So we'll lock that in.
Zahkia and Tim.
Well, we just said this is where Jonathan knows way too much and could be digging himself a hole. We were happy to only know it was something against Dungeons and Dragons. What that B thing is, I could only guess. So we locked in with Dungeons and Dragons as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Miss Pulling believed that it encouraged devil worship and suicide. Her son, unfortunately, died by suicide, and she blamed it on Dungeons and Dragons. BADD stands for Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons.
Bothered about? What a strong name.
Bothered about.
I'm bothered about it.
Well, I'll tell you, my parents were very concerned that my brother wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons at about that time, and were terrified that he wanted a black T-shirt and wouldn't allow it. So, because he might murder them, is what they were really concerned about. So,
just like a lot of moral panics, the Satanic Panic of the '80s was very much overblown. I've played Dungeons and Dragons for a long time. Jonathan's plays Dungeons and Dragons. I wonder what she would think about my big gay D20.
That is a big gay D20 for sure. That would be a fun one to roll.
It is. I don't know if you can hear this, but I'm going to drop it on my desk. You hear how loud it sounds. Ooh. It is heavy. Yeah.
It makes me want to just buy like a really big one that I can roll into the room and have it bounce around in the whole room.
I mean, this is huge. I mean, I can't get my hand on it.
She can't get her fist around it. Maybe a beach ball sized D20.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like Indiana Jones size.
Just roll it.
A rolling ball.
The BADD effectively dissolved in 1997 when Miss Pulling passed away. So BADD is no more.
She didn't team up with Tipper Gore for anything?
Okay. Actually, I was thinking about it because I was talking with some people about the Filthy 15 music list. And of course, Darlene Nikki is on there. And I'm like, oh, that's the song that Tipper Gore hates because, her daughter knows the words. And I was like, what other moral panics? Oh, there's the Satanic Panic. Let me see what's going on there.
I think Mothers Against Drunk Driving probably looked down on Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons. Like, you all are inferior. You guys, you're bothered. This
bothered
is pathetic.
about.
Like they could have said mad.
Full disclosure, I came up with bards. I was thinking bards against Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah,
They give bards a bad name. They made them all horny. Your last question in the round is brought to you by Rob Warman.
Thank you, Rob.
Category is TV Land. We know that the Gilligan's Island characters were all shipwrecked during a, quote, 3-hour tour. What city was the starting point of that fateful trip? Where did the minnow cast out of?
A 3-hour tour.
Yeah, we can lock in with the answer that you like.
Okay, we'll lock in.
So, Kristin, I like what you're thinking, and I think that the fact that they go to Honolulu later, I think there is a Hawaii episode later, like where they're all wearing flower leis and it's a big deal. Like that's, if they make a big deal about that as a future like movie length episode, maybe that's not where they started because they didn't start with leis and that kind of stuff, right? So then San Diego feels maybe better as a starting point. I'm definitely open to that.
Yeah. I think San Diego's where I'd err, but again, I have no strong feelings. So,
Kelly, you feel good about San Diego?
I go San Diego.
I do. I love San Diego. Great place.
They never freeze their pipes in San Diego.
I'm thinking about it right now.
Yep. All right, we're gonna guess San Diego.
Okay.
Well, that's funny. I will say before, the one question I've always had about Gilligan's Island is how did the Harlem Globetrotters get there, stay with them, and refuse to take them home?
I don't remember that episode.
There was a Harlem Globetrotters episode. We also said that they departed from San Diego.
The precise Pacific location of their shipwreck is unclear because the show gave conflicting latitude, longitude.
Uncharted desert isle.
However, they departed from Honolulu, Hawaii.
No! No! That was the first thing I said.
Looking for Honolulu.
So we both
Wow.
San Diego out of nowhere?
That's hilarious.
It's on the coast. It's at the very bottom of California. I mean, it makes sense.
Oh, God. Why would they make it such a big deal that they go to Hawaii later if they started in freaking Hawaii?
Sorry, Kristin. That was a really good guess.
Oh, wow.
I figured the Howells were from Orange County, so.
Yeah, that makes sense for
When
them.
the movie star, why wouldn't she be in California? Come on. We used logic. That was a mistake.
So at the end of round 4, Zahkia and Tim are still in the lead, 126 to 120. Your first category in round 5 is obligatory sports question.
Sports.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It won't be the first time brothers faced off in an NFL game, but with the upcoming game on February 12th, it will be the first time brothers faced off in a Super Bowl. Name the two brothers. I would like the first and last names.
Oh.
The superb owl,
But
yes.
it's not helpful.
Oh.
She does. I don't. But I think that's right.
Okay.
It's as close as I'm getting. Do we
Yeah.
want to lock in those two then? That combo?
Yes.
Okay.
Lock that in.
We're locked in.
It's definitely the Kelsey brothers. Travis Kelsey is a all-world tight end for the Chiefs. So Travis Kelsey is definitely right. And the other Kelsey brother is an offensive lineman, I think maybe even a center for the Eagles. The name I have is, somebody said Brendan. I have Brian Kelsey as kind of his name, but I'm not watching enough sports to be 100% sure. And
It doesn't sound right. I don't know.
Does it sound right?
It doesn't.
Okay.
It's like I saw it on the TV. It was a fun fact or whatever while I was watching. Like, I feel it was like the Chiefs game or something like that. And he's got a full beard. He looks exactly like his brother.
I think it's Brian.
I feel like it has an N at the end of it, but I don't. Like I said, Brendan, because I was like, there's an N at the end of it, but now I'm unsure. So I guess we go Brian, but it doesn't feel right.
I know. I agree. It doesn't feel right, but that is the name that my gut's telling me to say. So I don't want to shift off of it. If it's right, I'll feel worse about it than if we guess something else.
It's fair.
You know?
That's fair. Okay.
Okay. So we will guess Travis and Brian Kelsey.
So I am sure one of the brothers is Travis Kelsey. A lot of women in my delegation, the black delegation, seem to love Travis Kelsey for some reason. I don't know.
By delegation?
Yeah, the black delegation.
Is that a way that we refer to ourselves now? Like, am I part of the fat delegation?
Zahkia is just saying her fellow black women really love him. Okay, that's what she's saying.
Okay, well, he has swagger. He has a lot of swagger.
Yeah. But, and I definitely remember hearing about his brother. And his brother definitely has a J name. So I was thinking, is it Jordan Kelsey? But Tim mentioned that his fiance listens to the podcast and he said Jake. Jake Kelsey sounds right. Jordan Kelsey sounds maybe right, but we went with Travis and Jake Kelsey.
And Kelly, unlike you, I didn't profess my love by listening to a podcast. So,
Hey, times are tough. Okay. In the dating world.
Okay. One of the brothers is a Kansas City Chiefs tight end, Travis Kelsey. The other brother is a center for the Philadelphia Eagles. So you were correct about that, Jonathan. And his name is Jason Kelsey.
It came to me. As soon as you said J name, I was like, Jason.
Yeah, me too.
So
when they were going there, I was like, Jason. It's Jason, isn't it? Beep.
Jason Kelsey.
I was like that part.
So unfortunately, no points for that one. Points for me, I guess.
I
So aren't the Harbaugh's brothers? And didn't they? I mean, they were coaches, but technically they did face off in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, John never played.
Well, I'm
in the
saying,
NFL.
but like they did.
As coaches, they faced off.
Because as coaches, they faced off. Because one was the Ravens and the other one was
the Niners.
Somebody else.
San Francisco.
Yeah, that's it.
I was approaching it from a player's standpoint.
But they did face off.
coaches.
It's just not as players.
Yeah.
So that's fair. I'm just,
And of course, the Mannings did it, just not in a Super Bowl game. So your next category is where in the world is Carmela San Diego?
Ooh, I love
in
you.
the world is Carmela San Diego.
I am in the capital and most populous city of its country. This city has hosted 2 Summer Olympic Games and its Paralympic counterpart, and was previously known as Edo. This is also where the first Disney theme park outside of the United States was built, and has upwards of 90 parks and gardens within the city and surrounding area. Where am I?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
I can't. We're locked in.
We're locked in.
That's her way of saying locked in.
I'll tell you in the reveal. Oh, God.
So, Kelly and Kristin, the Edo period is a period in Japanese history. So Tokyo comes strong, and I just want to double check something, and I feel dumb for double checking it, but the name of the capital, is Tokyo the capital of Japan? It's not Kyoto, right?
I had the exact same problem. Kyoto, I don't believe, has hosted an Olympics. I know Tokyo's hosted at least one.
Yeah.
So I would still err on the side of Tokyo. But I had the same problem. I was like, am I sure it's the capital?
I don't know why that feels weird in my head, but Kyoto jumps out at me. Maybe there's a name change or something involved. But yeah, let's go Tokyo then. All right, we're locking in with Tokyo.
So Tim and I both typed Tokyo to each other at the same time. And then Tim types Jonks instead of Jinx. Jonks.
It's like what happens when you have fingers for sausages for fingers.
I just think of like a goose that you said something. So goodness, I lost it. I will be using that next time I say something at the same time as someone else.
Jonks.
I like how it's so aggressive. Like, Jonks.
Tokyo is the answer we locked in with.
Gotcha. Okay. Kyoto is the cultural capital of Japan. It was its actual capital at one point in its history, but it is not their official country capital, which is indeed Tokyo. So I'm looking for Tokyo here.
Nice.
So both teams get credit.
That's right.
Good job. And your last category in the round is brought to you by Luke May. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you.
Luke.
Category is It's All Latin to Me. Oh, no. The first day of spring is known officially by what Latin term, which very roughly means spring equal night?
Oh, I might know this. I mean, I do, but yeah, it's what Jonathan said.
Yep.
I've tried to type that 4 times, and I have had no success in that word.
Yeah.
I feel nice and confident. We'll go ahead and lock in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, agreed.
Well, I think we're right behind you with the vernal equinox. Vernal is spring, equi, and nox. So
yeah, I was trying to back into it through what spring is in different Romance languages. And in French, it's printemps. So prin, pran, pur, pur. No. And then vernal. Then, vernal, equinox. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Jonathan, Kelly, and Kristin.
It's close to spring horse night, but vernal equinox. We said vernal equinox.
Okay.
Or as my phone wanted to type, verbal equinox.
Ooh.
It has the same kind of root as the word verdant, which is very springy and things like that. Very green. But I am looking for vernal equinox, the fall first day of fall is the autumnal equinox. Yep. So great job. We are at the end of the 5th round. Zahkia and Tim are hanging on to that 6-point lead. It is 146 to 140.
We were a Honolulu away from taking the lead.
That'll happen. Your first category in round 6 is lullabies. Phil Collins wrote the song You'll Be in My Heart as a lullaby for his daughter Lily Collins. The song was featured in what 1999 animated movie?
Oh my God. Jonathan, can you do your... Yeah, I'll type it to you, Tim.
We're locked in apparently. So
Yeah.
All right.
I think we can 3-2-1 this.
Do you want to?
Everybody's saying the same thing.
Okay.
Carmela, can you count us down?
Sure can. 3, 2, 1.
Tarzan!
He also won an Oscar for Best Original Song for it. It is Tarzan. So good job.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Collins didn't have to go hard for us, but he did. He did for us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely did. That song is awesome.
He got another. There was another movie song that he did that was it was during a dark period, and he wrote the song, and it was just to have on his album, and they're like, oh, we really like this song, we want to use it for our movie. Can you just add the name of our movie as a lyric somewhere in the song? And he got paid for it, and he did it. I'm trying to remember the name of the dadgum song. It's all, I think it starts with all.
Against All Odds?
Against All Odds. Yeah, that's the movie. He had this whole song, and you'll find it, like, literally it only appears once in the song, and it was just added so that it could be from the movie.
All right, your next category is brought to you by Kylie Diggs. So thank you, Kylie.
Thank you, Kylie.
Thank you, Kylie.
Thank you.
Category is there's worse things to call it. New York City is known for its neighborhood abbreviations. Soho means south of Houston Street. Tribeca is short for the triangle below Canal Street. What is the Brooklyn neighborhood Dumbo an abbreviation of? DUMBO.
Okay.
That's better than, I don't think it's right, but I think it's acceptable.
It'll do.
All right, we're going to look in.
So, Zahkia, the thing that I think they think is a bad answer is our same bad answer.
No way. No way.
Maybe.
Oh, no. Kristin's so fed up with this question, she left.
I chased her away. I'm so sorry.
No.
So I think they're coming to down under the Manhattan Brooklyn Bridge, just like we are, because we can't think of anything better than Manhattan. And often bridges are named both ends, although no one knows it as the Manhattan Brooklyn Bridge. It's the Brooklyn Bridge, for God's sakes. And I think it's only, and Dumbo is in Brooklyn. It's the Brooklyn side. But I can't come up with anything better either. So I think we go with their bad answer.
Well, you are certain is their bad answer. So give it to me one more time, please.
Down under Manhattan Brooklyn Bridge, and we think the O is just like to fit it into something like a word. So down under Manhattan Brooklyn Bridge.
So we were close to that, but not all the way there. We did go down under. And I was just in New York last year, and I believe that Brooklyn is, on a map, Brooklyn is across the river from Manhattan on the right-hand side.
Yes.
And so we also made up...
Would that be east?
Yes.
Yes, that would be east. Yes, that's a really good point.
Also known as east.
We made up a Manhattan Bridge, which can give us an M and a B. We said down under Manhattan Bridge overpass.
Okay.
Also, I just want to point, The Right of Eden was not such a great title.
No, that's a sequel, though.
Okay.
Eden deserved her rights. It was a feminist sequel.
Right.
Okay, so if you are in the neighborhood of Dumbo, you are down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass.
Whoa! Yeah! Holy crap! That's awesome.
No way. That's like
that was a team effort for sure, too.
Sure
wrong
was.
sounding answer.
Okay.
Wow.
New York names are Dumbo. Godly.
Look, they've got a lot of neighborhoods. They got to distinguish them somehow. And like I said, there are worse things you could call it.
How many people have made jokes about being in Dumbo? That's just, it's awful.
All right, your last question before the gauntlet is coming never to a theater near you. Batman Dracula was a movie made in 1964 without the permission of DC Comics and was never released to the public, only screened at the art exhibits of its director and producer, and is considered to be the first time a blatantly campy Batman was depicted. Who was this American artist?
So you're looking for the artist who was the producer?
The producer and the director of Batman Dracula.
And what year did you say? Or did you say a year?
1964 was when the movie was made. Only screened at the art exhibits of its director and producer. We are going to want to come to something pretty soon.
Okay, we're locked in.
Okay.
All right, Kelly, it sounds like, I think Kristin and I are both accepting defeat and going with a guess here. Are you okay with this guess?
100%. Yep. I trust you guys.
I don't trust us. All right, Carmela, we're gonna guess Raimi. We don't know if he was an artist, but we know he did campy horror stuff, so it feels like a viable guess.
Okay. All right, Zahkia and Tim.
So we I think sounds like we went kind of a different direction. I thought back to, and I can't remember what they called it, but Andy Warhol. That he did some video work in that time frame, and thought maybe he put together a bad Batman versus Dracula.
I don't think it was versus. I think Batman is Dracula.
Oh, then even better.
So, this movie predates even the Adam West TV show, because that happened in 1966. But this is indeed Andy Warhol.
God,
Andy Warhol.
No!
I guessed him, and I just didn't think it was remotely close.
We got the lead.
You know what they called
the second to last
studio
question.
where he worked?
The factory?
The factory.
The
Thank
factory.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was it.
We got the lead
Okay.
with a second to last question and gave it away with the last question after being behind the whole game. It is the most frustrating way to play a game.
A great game.
So, going into the gauntlet, Zahkia and Tim have 166. Jonathan, Kelly, and Kristin have 160. Your gauntlet was inspired by Joel Skelly, so thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
And your category is and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow.
My least favorite part.
Mine too.
And Zakia's too, apparently.
All right, it sounds like we're going to lock our wager in.
Okay.
Our wager's in.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay, so your first question in the gauntlet of and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. This is actually the question that Joel wrote that inspired me to write the rest of it. Which 1929 novel takes its title from a line in the tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow soliloquy from Shakespeare's Macbeth?
So you're saying it would help to know that soliloquy?
I mean, it would help, yes. It would help to know some Shakespeare. It would also help to know some of your 1929 novels.
Yeah.
All right, let's lock that one in.
Our answer is locked in.
Your next question. All of Shakespeare's plays, including Macbeth, have the same number of acts. How many acts does a Shakespearean play have?
That's where you were thinking, Zakia?
Oh, no, I had no idea. And that sounded good.
Okay. Damn. I was hoping we were both typing in a number.
I mean, that's my favorite number, so yeah.
Carmela, could you roll that 20-sided die?
Sure.
No.
Just 3.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew it wasn't going to be 17, so.
All right, I've kind of driven us into a direction, so I'll fall on the sword if I'm wrong about this. But I'm thinking of references, and that makes me feel strongly in a direction.
Well, if you're going to fall on a sword, that feels Shakespearean, so.
For sure. Okay. So we'll lock in our answer.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're locked in.
And your last question in the gauntlet. Shakespeare's story of Macbeth differs greatly from the real life historical Macbeth and is more commonly associated with the execution of Henry Garnet and his role in what event from late 1605?
Or I could be very, very wrong, but I don't think so.
I mean, this is today I learned, so.
I'm pretty confident. I would say like in the high 90s, mid to high 90s.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
We're locked in.
Oh, I hate giving an answer I know is wrong.
All right. Are you going to say your answer is locked in?
Yes, our answer is locked in.
Oh, he sounds so enthused.
I am bitter.
I know. I'm sorry, buddy. Okay. Which 1929 novel takes its title from a line in the Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow soliloquy? Zahkia and Tim, we'll start with you.
Well, after much struggle, we came up For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Jonathan, Kelly, and Kristin.
We think this is going to be something about the best laid plans of mice and men.
Very
Yeah.
The next question. All of Shakespeare's plays, including Macbeth, have the same number of acts. How many acts is that? Jonathan, Kelly, and Kristin.
We went back and forth about 3 and 5. I really pushed for 3, and we went with 3 because many times I've heard reference to that's going to come back in the third act, right? The first act is kind of introducing everything and everybody. The second act is all the conflict and all the negative stuff that makes it a breakdown, and the third act is the resolution. And so we went with 3.
Well, we had almost an identical conversation and struggled with 3 and 5 and broke it down exactly like Jonathan just said. And so we also went with 3 acts.
Okay. And Shakespeare's story of Macbeth differs greatly from the real-life historical Macbeth. It's more commonly associated with an event that happened in late 1605. Zahkia and Tim.
Well, you do remember every November, because in 1605 it was the Guy Fawkes gunpowder plot, which I literally just read
I told you
last week that it was the big
that hurts so much.
I tried to convince you.
I couldn't look up that whole time. It was painful.
And Jonathan, I had the same thing. I'm like, I thought that happened in like the 1800s. Today I learned.
I should have been better at convincing you. I'm so sorry.
We went with the October Revolution. We talked about it a lot, but it's like, why do we have a name that's not Guy Fawkes as the person who's executed is the first thing that made it feel wrong, and the dates felt way wrong. So that's why I wouldn't give that answer.
Okay. Well, I don't know how to do this, so I'm just going to start from the bottom and work my way up. So I gave late 1605 to try and push you towards the end of the year, so you did pick up on that. Henry Garnet was not the only person who was executed during this. It's just that was specifically called out as far as the plot of Macbeth. But this is the gunpowder plot. That did happen in 1605. It was the assassination attempt of James I, also known as the Jesuit treason. So that's probably where that religious thing came up.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
There are 5 acts in Shakespearean plays.
Now I'm sorry twice.
Sword,
I have to
Jonathan?
fall on the sword.
My favorite
terrible.
number.
I killed this. This whole gauntlet was a murder by me.
And so there was a novel written by this guy that was mentioned in some of the discussion. You guys talked about As I Lie Dying, which was a reference to the Odyssey.
Oh, yeah.
Faulkner. But he wrote another novel, which is a direct reference to this and tomorrow soliloquy, and that is The Sound and the Fury.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Oh, wow. We didn't get a single
It's
question
about
right,
fire.
mostly because of me. That's terrible. That's real bad.
Oh, we only got
Well, it's
one.
okay.
Jonathan,
I never think of William Faulkner anymore. Like I grew up in Columbia, where there's all authors' names, like Columbia, Maryland. Sorry, and there's all authors like names for the names of the villages, and I always forget Faulkner Ridge, which is of course Faulkner. I just feel like it's a blind spot.
So that's what's like. I have no idea how to do this. That's why I did it the way that I did. And but that means both teams missed it. So it's going to come down to wagers.
We'll do ours first, I guess. We didn't bet at all, but we did bet big. We bet 140.
Oh wow.
We wanted to force you to bet big and get it right if you were going to beat us if we got it right, and we'd all gotten a lot of questions right during the game. So yeah, we went 140, which means we'll finish with 20. And we're hoping you tried to lock us out.
Well, I said to Zahkia, I almost never get 3 questions right in the gauntlet, which was true yet again. We ended up getting 1, so we bet 2.
Oh God!
That's just mean.
For a gauntlet that played way harder than I thought it was gonna. Your final scores are 164 to 20. Zahkia and Tim are your winners.
Ouch.
Good game. Good game. You know, we had a great game. We just kind of flubbed it in the end. We fumbled on the 5-yard line.
Honolulu, Hawaii.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Faulkner came to me.
Yeah. Not good. Okay, well, before we go, we like to give everybody a chance to do shout outs and promote causes that they care about. Tim, you're on the winning team, so we're going to start with you.
I will do 2 quick ones. The one, I'm a former food banker, so I always plug supporting your local food bank. That's just a cause near and dear to my heart always. And one other shout out to Sarah, my fiance, who listens to this show just, I think, to hear me be wrong most of the time. So
hi, Sarah.
Because that's love.
You got a good one right there.
Thank you, guys.
Kelly, you're next.
I want to give a shout out to the foster families and being able to help anybody in need that you can, whether that be food banks or just dropping off your old clothes. Those kids really need it, especially when your pipes are freezing. And so, yeah, if you have any old clothes, it's really helpful for those kids who travel with trash bags from house to house. So dropping them off at your local shelter is super, super helpful because it doesn't just go to homeless people. It also goes to foster kids. And a shout out to Ryan, my boyfriend. I told you I'd get on here.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
What a beautiful story. And now you've one-upped him. That's also beautiful. Love it. All right. Thank you, Kelly. Kristin, we're going to finish up with you.
So I usually say give blood, and I still say that you should give blood because there's a massive blood shortage pretty much always. And when the weather gets bad and when events happen like the flooding that was happening in California, it gets worse. So give blood if you can. That's my thing.
Outstanding. Totally agree. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap us up. So for Kristin, for Kelly, for Tim, for Zahkia, and Carmela, my name is Jonathan. This has been episode number 414 of Trivial Warfare, where it is not just trivia. It's war. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Trivial Warfare. Be sure to check out the revamped TrivialWarfare.com as your one-stop shop to submit questions, join the community, and get access to over 150 archived episodes. Warm It Up was written and performed by Matthew Stevens. This episode was edited and produced by me, Joel Sharpton. For help with your podcast, visit ProPodcastingServices.com.
Get most of it out. Whoa.
God. That's my...
It is either a visiting clown or a duck or a dog with a toy. One of those 3.
Dog with a toy.
Oh,
I'm
dog with
just
a toy.
all sorts of... Sorry.
I was really
so
rooting
sorry.
for clown.
You didn't do anything wrong.
She moved to the clown room. There's a clown next to her like, herker.
Oh, God, it's a bad morning. Okay, all right.
No,
you're fine.
Don't worry about it.
I'm glad your animals made noise before my animals because my animals are having the zoomies right now, it sounds like. So.
Super excited. Okay, I apologize for that. I'm really sorry.
We are going to want to come to something here.
Oh, I definitely want to come to something, Carmela.